To quote Jim Ross at WrestleMania 17, "Son of a bitch, I don't believe this." What is up, everyone? GoodMicWork back at you with some potentially devastating news. I gotta be honest, I wasn't actually going to come up here and review SmackDown this week. I wasn't home to watch the show last night live, so I had asked a bunch of you on Twitter, hey, give me updates on the show, let me know how it's going, what's happening, have they announced any matches for the next pay-per-views, whatever. And a lot of the feedback I was getting was, while SmackDown wasn't necessarily a bad show, really nothing significant was taking place, and it was probably a skippable show. So I decided, you know what, I'm not going to bother reviewing it then. I'll take a couple of days off. I've already uploaded 4 or 5 videos in the last week or two anyway. I'll use the rest of the week to work on other stuff, and we'll pick things up with SmackDown again next week when I return for my next commentary. And then I take a look at Twitter today for the first time, and I'm getting a shit ton of notifications from all of you letting me know that Seth Rollins suffered some sort of a knee injury on Raw when he was attacked by Samoa Joe, and that it is not good. Motherfucker. You have got to be kidding me. This can't be real. My heart would absolutely break for Seth Rollins if he has to miss his second straight WrestleMania. This is what I hate about the business, is that these horrible, heartbreaking things happen to guys. They don't deserve it. They work so damn hard. And in a lot of instances, their dreams can be shattered just on one fluke movement or something like that. I will say right off the bat, I do not believe this is a work. I don't think WWE wants to get in the habit of sending guys down to Birmingham to further a storyline, because what's going to happen in the future when a guy really is seriously hurt, we're always going to question whether or not it was a work. So I think there's a certain line that they just need not cross. I know that they've done injury angles before, and they've had guys on stretchers and neck braces and carted off in ambulances and shit like that, but you can usually tell when that's a work. Now, this news broke hours ago, so I've been kind of sitting back and watching and trying to get some updates to see if we know any more. He apparently was going down to Alabama to get an MRI done, and the MRI hopefully was going to show what was wrong. But just a few minutes ago, now I don't know when this commentary will be uploaded. This will be a few hours after Seth tweeted this, but the initial tweet has just come across my computer screen in the last 10 minutes. And he basically just sent out a series of tweets thanking the fans for their support and all of that. But there was one tweet in particular that I thought was really telling, and it was the one where he said a lot of things are up in the air. To me, that's actually good news, because if this was some sort of catastrophic knee injury, if it was another ACL tear, or if he just tore his knee to shit and the only way to fix it was to have surgery immediately and be on the shelf for 9 to 11 months, I think they would know that right away. That's not something that you sit back and decide what to do. Usually with a catastrophic knee injury like that, as soon as it happens, you know it. As soon as the MRI is done, it's confirmed, and there's really nothing you can do. So maybe this is the type of injury that could be rehabbed. Maybe this is the type of injury that can be fixed with minor surgery. Maybe the recovery time is a lot less than it was before. Maybe it's a matter of a couple of months, or maybe even weeks if we're lucky. So hopefully with what Seth has tweeted out about saying there's no excuses, his resolve is still the same, obstacles are thrown in front of you, you just got to keep fighting, and he will reclaim his throne and all of this. So it seems like he's half in character there. And since a lot of things are up in the air, that to me tells me that he's not having surgery tomorrow and is going to be on the shelf for 9 months. He obviously must have some options here. So hopefully, if he's just good enough to work Mania, he can take some time off either before or after. I mean, WrestleMania is still 2 months away. There's plenty of time for him to rest. I think it would hurt the storyline with him and Triple H if he's on Raw every week in crutches or something like that and not able to have wrestling matches, or have his match with Samoa Joe now that we thought was going to happen at Fastlane probably will not now. But I still think they could pull it off, and Seth could at least avoid not missing a second straight WrestleMania. It still might need surgery, like I said, before or after or something like that, but hopefully whatever this is at the end of the day, it is not as bad as it was before, and we're not going to lose Seth for another 9 months. Hopefully he's going to be okay, but I am incredibly nervous. Now, on the other side of that coin, I mean, this does play in pretty nicely to the storyline. I mean, Seth was just on Raw talking about Stephanie McMahon getting very personal with their families, even bringing up their kids, and he wants revenge on Triple H for turning his back on him and going with Kevin Owens, and then Triple H talked about what a monumental disappointment Seth Rollins was, and they've been building and building to this big match at WrestleMania based on Seth Rollins saying Triple H took something from me. Imagine if Triple H took away Seth Rollins' second straight WrestleMania. That would add a ton of heat, and if they did have to postpone this match until SummerSlam, SummerSlam or something like that, I could live with it because the storyline would remain hot upon Seth's return. So luckily, I don't think the storyline is completely dead in the water or anything like that, but it really just breaks my heart for WrestleMania purposes, and I'd hate to see Seth miss his second straight one. That would be the worst. Imagine when he comes back how careful he would want to be to make sure he doesn't get injured again so he doesn't miss WrestleMania 34, if that's the case. So hopefully at the end of the day, we will still see Seth Rollins at this year's WrestleMania, but I guess we'll find out. Hopefully tomorrow or in the next several hours, more news will come out on what exactly is wrong with his knee. So there's a really good chance that I'm going to upload this commentary and then we're immediately going to get new information. But this is the information I currently have as of the recording of this. And like I said, I'm a little bit optimistic because of Seth's recent tweets. So we've already looked at the options for WrestleMania as far as Seth being okay. If he rehabs the knee a few weeks, if he's on crutches, maybe he has a very minor surgical procedure and he's still able to work WrestleMania. But what if he is not? What does that mean? Where does that leave Samoa Joe? Where does that leave Triple H? I'm surprised how many people wanted the rumored Samoa Joe and John Cena match to happen. That's a feud that I really didn't want to see. For one thing, I much prefer Samoa Joe on Raw. I don't know why. It just feels like it suits him better. I'm not sure if I could even envision him on SmackDown, so I think Joe is on the right brand. But given what we saw from John Cena and AJ Styles, AJ's a smaller, more athletic guy that can really bump around and sell for John Cena and make him look really good. And these guys had arguably multiple Match of the Year candidates throughout their feud together. So I really don't know what John Cena and Samoa Joe could do that could eclipse what John Cena and AJ Styles could do. As far as John Cena working with a respected indie type guy, I think AJ Styles was the perfect opponent for him. And I just think that a Samoa Joe and John Cena match and feud wouldn't be as good. I don't think their matches would be anywhere close to as good as what Cena had with AJ. So I'm actually happy that that feud isn't taking place and Samoa Joe is on Raw, seemingly to be by the side of Triple H in his feud with Seth Rollins. But now, if Seth is indeed on the shelf, what does Samoa Joe do? They're going to have to completely rethink what they do with Joe now that Seth is injured, because they brought him in such a huge way. I was so happy that Joe came in the way he did instead of at the Royal Rumble. But if Seth is wound up injured now, it's like, where does that leave him? So it's just a shitty situation overall. It throws a monkey wrench in all of their plans and everything is up in the air now. And now they're talking about what Triple H will do at WrestleMania if Seth isn't able to go. And I'm thinking to myself, Triple H doesn't have to do anything. He should sit this one out. And I'm not even anti-Triple H. I respect Triple H's in-ring ability a lot more than most fans do, but the only thing that he's been doing is setting up this feud with Seth Rollins. For him to just switch gears now and have a completely new opponent built for him in the next 6 to 7 weeks, I'd just rather have Triple H sit this thing out completely and have him wait until SummerSlam to work with Seth or something like that. Just postpone it. I'm pretty sure that Triple H could probably afford to miss this WrestleMania payday if he absolutely had to. The guy's going to own the fucking company here in a matter of a few years. So maybe a big-time level one-on-one match this year is just something that Triple H is not going to have. Maybe he's going to have to be involved in WrestleMania in some other way. Maybe he can just do an appearance, do an in-ring promo with The Rock or with Stone Cold or Shawn Michaels or something like that. Maybe he could even do some stuff with some NXT guys, who knows. Here's another idea. Maybe he can work with Samoa Joe. If he absolutely has to work with somebody, maybe they do an angle on NXT. If Seth Rollins turns out to be too injured to work WrestleMania, maybe Triple H sends Samoa Joe back to NXT and Samoa Joe gets pissed. He goes, hey, what are you talking about? I came to Raw to help you out. I had your back. I was under the assumption that I was going to be on the main roster now. And then maybe Triple H denies him and says, no, I'm not ready for you to come to the main roster now. We're going to keep you here in NXT, essentially just using Samoa Joe, and leads to a feud between the two when Samoa Joe challenges him and Triple H puts him over at WrestleMania. Something like that. To me, if Triple H was going to have any sort of a match at all, that would be the only one that would make storyline sense. Otherwise, they're just hot-shotting something with no build or background to it whatsoever. So, like Seth said in his tweet, a lot is truly up in the air right now, so hopefully we'll learn more in the next several hours, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the news is not catastrophic. If it does turn out to be really, really bad news and Seth Rollins is going to miss WrestleMania, I probably really won't get up here to talk about it until next week's commentary. So, just know that if that does wind up happening, that I will be absolutely devastated and heartbroken for Seth Rollins. But I am hoping for the best. So feel free to leave me any comments or updates you might know or have in the comments section below. Anything that I failed to mention or any of your ideas on what WWE could do if Seth's injury turns out to be really bad and he's got to miss WrestleMania. A lot of the other WrestleMania Raw matches are starting to get a little bit more solidified. We know we got Brock and Goldberg. It's still possible that that could be a title match. We still don't know. Brock or Goldberg could win the WWE title. As a matter of fact, I think I even saw a news story about Brock getting a title shot at the Madison Square Garden house show sometime between now and Mania. So I guess it's possible that one of those guys could go into WrestleMania as champion. If that happened, I really wouldn't complain about it. And if it does, I will have plenty to say about it. We've also got the Roman Reigns versus Undertaker rumors. I think the only way that this match could be potentially good or successful is if Roman goes into this thing as a heel. Maybe they can do Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman at Fastlane, and you do a double turn. Why not? Do a double turn. Fans kind of like Strowman anyway. He kind of worked babyface on Raw versus Kevin Owens. It really shouldn't be that hard to do because unlike most double turns, in this case, all you got to do is change the fans' opinion of one guy. The fans already hate Roman Reigns, so one half of the double turn is already done. And if you did that, you could have the big, monster, gigantic, ass-kicking babyface that Vince loves. That can just be Braun Strowman now. And Roman can be an evil, vicious, dirty, scary heel. And if he is, and he goes into WrestleMania to face The Undertaker, who apparently might have even been injured in the Royal Rumble, because he's recently had partial hip replacement surgery. I mean, he's a fucking mess. So how much longer can Undertaker wrestle? So here's my proposal. And I know people are going to freak out. This fucking commentary will probably get 100 dislikes just because of what I'm about to say right here. But I think Roman Reigns should defeat The Undertaker as a heel at WrestleMania. Cheat if you have to. I don't care. I think that this is the best way. If WWE truly wants to make Roman Reigns one of their major players, they gotta know that it ain't gonna happen as a babyface. All they're gonna be doing is repeating the same mistakes they made with John Cena. They have a chance to rectify some of those mistakes with Roman Reigns because they've been handed the exact same situation on a silver platter, the same situation they had years ago with John Cena that they did nothing with and refused to act on. And if you have Roman Reigns do something to Braun Strowman in their match to turn Braun Strowman babyface and solidify Roman Reigns as a heel, and then the entire build up to WrestleMania, he's just an evil, nasty bastard. And then he goes into WrestleMania and he beats The Undertaker. He can use chairs, stairs, kendo sticks, tables. He can run The Undertaker's head over with a fucking lawnmower for all I care. As long as he does something that's evil to The Undertaker and he defeats him, handing him his second loss at WrestleMania, Roman Reigns can be put up on that caliber with a Brock Lesnar. He can be one of only 2 guys to ever defeat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Undertaker can now possibly retire, go into the Hall of Fame next year in the City of the Dead of New Orleans. And it accomplishes a whole lot of things at once. It eliminates the problem of Roman Reigns where the fans just cannot stand him being shoved down our throats as a babyface. You no longer have to worry about that. Fans have no excuse to hate him now. You can't say he's not an athlete. You can't say he doesn't know how to work. But he doesn't know how to work as a babyface. A heel is much better. We've already seen him as a heel. He was a badass when he was a part of the Shield. You do that with him, except he's kind of a lone wolf guy on his own, maybe a Baron Corbin-ish type attitude with a little bit of Brock Lesnar mixed in. I think Roman Reigns could be a great heel character. And if he goes into Mania to do this, you now have a Roman Reigns character that the fans can tolerate. The Undertaker gets to go out in a losing effort, which for a professional like him, I'm sure he will have no problem with. He also gets to go out in probably what will go down as a pretty memorable fucking WrestleMania match, especially if Roman Reigns is a heel going into that match, or if he even turns heel in that match. Maybe they hold off the full-fledged heel turn until WrestleMania, and Roman goes into it as a babyface and turns heel in the match with The Undertaker. That could also work. They change Roman's character. The Undertaker is finally officially retired. He goes out on his back. It's a very memorable match. He gets the big send-off. He goes into the Hall of Fame next year. You got a brand new, vicious Brock Lesnar level heel on your roster now that's not part-time, that is full-time. And I think it could potentially be a win-win situation all the way around. I know there's a lot of fans that'll just hate Roman Reigns forever. He is the new John Cena. I was even laughing today. I looked over TVTrax had put up a bunch of my recent clips from my Royal Rumble commentaries and shit. And there was one where I was just talking about the Roman Reigns-Kevin Owens match, and I was being so incredibly fair and impartial and unbiased, giving both guys credit, even talking about how I really didn't want Roman Reigns to win the title. If he did, I would have been disappointed. I would have been pissed off if they did that to Kevin Owens and how hard the guys worked, and they just busted their asses in that match. And the video had like a shit ton of dislikes because I dared give Roman Reigns a tiny bit of credit. So I understand that no matter how fair and intelligent your arguments are, fans are just going to hate this motherfucker no matter what. So him going into WrestleMania and defeating The Undertaker, whether he's a heel or a babyface, probably isn't going to sit well with a big chunk of the audience, but it sure as hell will be a lot better than him being this typical same old babyface bullshit that we see every week that makes us want to throw up. I like Roman Reigns. He doesn't even bother me, and I get sick of the way WWE pushes him and the things that come out of his mouth and the character development. I think it's just piss poor shit on a stick. It's awful. So I think Roman Reigns is way too good of a talent to be wasted like this, where the fans just literally hate the fucking sight of him. Do something with this guy. He's on your roster. You're paying him a shit ton of money. He's got a huge family legacy in the business. He's not going anywhere. Why is it so hard for the WWE to utilize this guy in a positive way? You are doing nothing but pissing off your audience when it comes to Roman Reigns, and I just wish WWE would use their fucking brains a little bit more often. Anyway, that's a whole nother rant beside the point. Just some more Roman Reigns WrestleMania Raw ideas. Why don't we move on now to SmackDown? I'll briefly talk about it because since I had to come up here and talk about Seth, might as well throw a few comments about SmackDown out at you. You guys were right. I did see the show. Nothing special, although I don't think the show was without any surprises. The John Cena stuff wasn't bad, and I will say I was really worried after the Royal Rumble. I was so blinded by my joy that Roman Reigns didn't win the Royal Rumble that I didn't realize that Randy Orton winning it could possibly mean John Cena versus Orton at WrestleMania, but I really don't think they're going to do that. It's starting to look like John Cena, for probably the third or fourth title reign in a row here, is a transitional champion. The fans right now are loving SmackDown, and I've been mentioning in previous commentaries that although I know some people will never stop hating John Cena and they're never going to grow up, a lot of people are starting to lighten up on the guy, and they are realizing that this is not the guy that WWE is shoving down your throats anymore. I think it's the opposite of that. Think back to a few years ago when he won the World Heavyweight title from like Alberto Del Rio when he returned or whatever. What did he do? He dropped it just a couple of months later to Randy Orton when they unified the title. Daniel Bryan had to forfeit the World Heavyweight title after WrestleMania 30, so they put it on John Cena for 2 months so he could hand it over to Brock. And here we are again. He defeats AJ Styles. He gets his victory back from all the times that AJ beat him in the summer. Gets a 16th run with the title that ties Ric Flair's bullshit record, and it could just be for a matter of weeks. When is the Elimination Chamber? 2-3 weeks from now? He could literally be a transitional champion again. And the rumored guy to win the title right now is Bray Wyatt. Him and Randy Orton interrupted John Cena's promo, and there was just something about Bray Wyatt. His promos are so Bray Wyatt-ish, and they can be boring sometimes, but this time he seemed really on point. He had me captivated. He cut a great promo on John Cena and said that it's his destiny to win the WWE title in the Elimination Chamber. And then he introduced the winner of the Royal Rumble, Randy Orton, standing right next to him, which means if we are going to get Randy Orton against John Cena, at least there's a little bit of a different twist this time because Bray Wyatt is involved. And they've actually announced that match next week for SmackDown. We're going to get John Cena versus Randy Orton one-on-one. So that's more evidence suggesting that we will not get that one-on-one match at WrestleMania. That would just be a huge disappointment. So we really won't know anything until the Elimination Chamber, but I have a really strong feeling that John Cena will be dropping that title in the chamber to somebody. Hopefully it's Bray Wyatt or AJ Styles, and then John Cena can go on to WrestleMania to do something else, and next time he comes back and goes for a title, he'll be now looking to break the record. So I think this title run by John Cena is just a temporary transitional thing. John Cena has not been the focal point of WWE TV in several years now, probably over 3. As far as the Cena rumors go for what he could potentially do at WrestleMania, there's now talk of having him work with The Miz and Maurice and tagging up with Nikki Bella because it's coming out now that she might actually be retiring. So she might actually be leaving the business, and if she does, they might put The Miz and Maurice versus Cena and Nikki in a mixed tag, and Nikki can retire after that or whatever. Don't forget, Cena and The Miz worked together in the main event of WrestleMania back at 27. And if that were to happen, would anybody complain? John Cena is not world champion. He's going to be in a mid-card fucking mixed tag match with his girlfriend, for fuck's sake. It's not like he's in the main event. It's not like he's being shoved down anybody's throats, and it's not like he's burying anybody. He's just out there with Nikki. They'll probably beat The Miz. The Miz is always buried. Who gives a fuck if he loses? And then after that, Nikki can retire. Maybe John Cena goes with her for a little while and takes some time off and does his TV show or movie or whatever the hell else he does. And then he can come back and get back into the mix of things in SmackDown and potentially go for another world title later on this year or potentially next year. But at least for right right now. And in recent years, John Cena winning a world title has only meant that he's been handing it off to somebody in just a matter of weeks. So any of the Cena hate that's going on out there, if there's any left, I think you should definitely lighten up, because this has the potential to not be that bad at all. Now, if Cena retains at the Elimination Chamber and goes into WrestleMania as champion and he faces Randy Orton, then yes, we can all fucking complain until we're blue in the face. I'll be right there with you doing it. Moving back now to what was going on SmackDown, I kind of got away from that for a second, but during John Cena's promo, like I said, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton came out and interrupted, and then they surrounded him on the ring and teased getting in the ring to attack him. And then the lights went out, they came back on, and Luke Harper is standing right next to John Cena. And I laughed so hard at John Cena's reaction, like he sees him, and then he looks, and then it kind of dawns on John Cena. You see his facial expression when he realizes that Luke Harper's actually out there to help him. And he's like, oh shit, yeah, let's do it. Now he's ready to fight. I kind of got a kick out of Cena's reaction. But who came out? Shane? He wound up coming out and making a tag match once Bray and Randy Orton retreated. And he goes, it's going to be Luke Harper and John Cena taking on Bray and Orton in a tag team match. And Luke Harper was kind of funny. He didn't really want to touch Bray Wyatt or hurt him or wrestle him at all. He would not tag John Cena. The only person he would fight was Randy Orton, and Bray Wyatt still has this hold over him, and he really wasn't much help for John Cena, and Cena found himself getting RKO'd and pinned. So Randy Orton pins John Cena right there on SmackDown, and they're going to work one-on-one next week. So hopefully they're getting the Cena and Orton shit out of their system now, and we won't have to worry about it come WrestleMania. Other than that, not much else. We saw Daniel Bryan making an Elimination Chamber match between Nikki and Natalya. We saw Naomi pin Alexa Bliss again with a split-legged moonsault in a tag team match. So there's two of WWE's top champions pinned on TV. This is the same shit we saw on Raw, and it's the only way WWE fucking does anything. American Alpha issued an open challenge, only for it to end in a big clusterfuck brawl, and the main event was AJ Styles versus Dean Ambrose, a match that was set up in the beginning of the show when AJ was talking to Shane and Daniel Bryan. Dean Ambrose interrupted and basically challenged AJ, saying they might have some unfinished business, and why don't they face each other in the ring. The Miz was on commentary for this. Baron Corbin got involved. The Miz jumped off commentary to get involved, wound up seeing AJ Styles beat Dean Ambrose, which was good. I was a little bit worried for a second that they might be moving AJ Styles down to the Intercontinental title and he was going to start feuding with Ambrose again, but luckily it was just a match to continue the feud with The Miz and Ambrose, and Baron Corbin came and cleaned house on everybody at the end. AJ got the win and retreated. He beat up Dean Ambrose, and then he nailed The Miz with his finisher as well and stood tall to close the show. So I like Baron Corbin. I think he'll be world champion probably in the next year or two. WWE seems to like him. They push him hard. He's an ass kicker. So anyway, that's the latest on the current landscape. Before I get out of here, let me just click and just see if any new news has broke about Seth Rollins at all. I'm just kind of looking around. Let's go to Seth's Twitter page before I sign off here and just see if he has said anything new. He has not. So yeah, all right, I'm going to go ahead and edit this thing and get it up. As of right now, it looks like everything's still up in the air with Seth's knee injury, and I guess we'll know more in the next few days. So thanks a lot for listening to this rambling. Incidentally, by the way, I'm glad I remembered this before I got out of here. This coming Monday, I'm actually going to have to work. I'm not going to be home to watch Raw live. So if you're looking forward to live tweeting with me or anything like that, I won't be up. So I'm guessing that I'm going to have another commentary probably on Wednesday next week or early Thursday discussing Raw, discussing SmackDown, Elimination Chamber, Fastlane, and whatever the hell is going on with Seth Rollins. So check back in a few days for that. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you very soon. Until next time, peace.